Here with another Warhammer World Championship battle between FOK Akkein and FOK Ahzek. So a little bit of a clan spat here. Rough for them. A quick announcement on the way in as we get into game one of Warriors of Chaos versus Vampire Coast. The tournament prize pool is community funded. So the people who organized the tournament did share with me this. PayPal link that will be in the description if you feel like participating in the prize pool. Feel free to donate that. It is 1-to-1. If you put in $10, $10 goes to the prize pool. There's no like weird admin fee taken out in the middle or anything like that. So yeah, just consider that if you've been enjoying the content. Well, I'm not trying to guilt trip you with that setup. I'm just saying if you have been enjoying the content, if you feel like it, you know, throw a couple bucks that way if you want to. If not, also fine. You know, it is what it is. I don't blame anybody for not donating to these things. I honestly don't remember if I put in this year. I think I put in last time, and then I obviously put in for the Warpstone Cup, but you know, no harm, no foul if you don't, but you are welcome to, and it is very appreciated. And thank you to everybody who already has given to those sorts of things. It is great of you and keeps the community running, man. We gotta watch out for each other. Sounds good? Okay, links in the thingy. Let's do this. So, for game one, Warriors of Chaos versus Vampire Coast. Not a matchup we see that often. We have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle with Rancid Visitations and Stream of Corruption. Ooh, and Fleshy Abundance. So, 3 spells, 2 of which are pretty expensive. And he's on a War Shrine, which can be actually difficult to charge up in the Vampire Coast matchup. There's a lot of guns to shoot your super tall chariot. Then we have Ace in the Fallen, Mute with Vortex Beast, ROR. I think I mentioned the Hell Cannon, but I forget. Marauders and Marauders of Slaanesh. Not Devoted Marauders, just Marauders of Slaanesh, interestingly enough. Don't see them very often. And then 4 basic Marauder Horsemen. Interesting build from the Warriors of Chaos. Not typical at all. Not bad, just kind of processing. Guess I haven't seen this matchup in a while. Oh, there's also the Pleasure Guard, Champions of Slaanesh working down in the distance. That makes a lot of sense. Unbreakable, magic damage, good armor piercing. Kind of a good versus Crabs, good versus Sirens, good versus Salastra. All-rounders as long as they don't get shot to death. You know, said for the Vampire Coast, quadruple bats. 2 are bombers, 2 are handguns. One of which is receiving an invocation to heck already. Some hand cannons, rotting Promethean mobs, the Night Terrors. Then a front line of basic zombies, some with polearms, some without, animated hulks, and a polearms vampire caster with Gaze into Gash, Drown Dead, and Invocation into Heck. Both builds are a little odd. I tend to not be a big believer in the bats. I feel like since they're nerfs, they just don't have the DPS output to justify their squishiness. But with 4 skirmish cav and a hell cannon, does seem like they're going to have a pretty hard go of it as they're already getting pushed around and starting even to crumble a little bit. Also interesting to not see the Lamprey's Revenge, but are seeing Rotted Promethean gunnery mobs. Sometimes you can juke out your opponent who over-prepare for the Lamprey's Revenge by just not taking crabs at all and wasting their resources. But it's weird to take crabs and not the Lamprey's Revenge, you know what I mean? It's like, well, okay, if they have the tools to deal with the Lamprey's Revenge, they still have the tools to deal with your crabs, and these crabs just have lower leadership, lower melee stats, and no self-regeneration, so I don't know. Some of these build paths are confusing me a little bit. Also, the abundance of hand cannons, but no handguns. Hand cannons are not nearly as good as handguns at deterring skirmish cav. They're a lot more bursty, so they're better versus, I guess, single entity monster spam. But that's about it. Handguns are still solid against single entities, but they're much better against skirmish cav, which you pretty much know the Warriors of Chaos is going to bring. It's one of their strongest assets, so I just find it weird. I think the Coast build is a little odd. It's not bad. There's not a lot of it I can point to and just be like, this is objectively terrible. It's just a lot of things that I think are odd. Anyway, Coast took the point. Pretty solid stuff. I've talked about it a lot at this point in the tournament because it's Conquest mode and it's been Conquest mode all the way through. So if this point ever comes up, you know, it's that. But in case this is the first video you're watching of the tournament or something, if you have a defensive build, it is very smart to do one of 2 things. One is to take enough damage with long enough range to thoroughly punish your opponent heavily for taking the point, and then you can take the point from their dead carcass 9 minutes into the game. Or do this, and what many more defensive players do, is just put your defensive formation on the point itself, so then they have to attack your point of power and get you off of the point, which is where you generally prefer to be. So you can see the coast put their front line on the point, captured it, and now are sitting back. But unfortunately for them, this is where I'm getting concerned. Due to really good positioning of the Hell Cannon, a carronade wouldn't be able to counterfire. It's up on top of a hill, making the angle awkward, and it's behind some trees. But without a carronade, and without any way of pressuring the enemy, they are just sitting here taking damage for free, so I don't know if they love the state the game is in at the moment. The skirmish cav have gotten off half their ammunition-ish. The Hell Cannon is still firing away. A lot of your winds of magic have been used on healing the bats, which have gotten very little effective damage out, and the skirmish cav are continuing to push them back. So the Warriors of Chaos seem happy to just let the Hell Cannon fire literally all of its shots and then move up a little later. And as we mentioned at the very, very start with these, the Chaos War Shrine of Nurgle, the hope to grind out the infantry in a slow fight at the end where you get AoE healing and AoE drain from your various single entities, they're trying to use their Hell Cannon to attrition out the hand cannons so that they can't shoot this tall shrine, and then it gets into a melee grind fest where the Warriors of Chaos will win from there. War Shrine is moving up. Yeah, there it is. Some streams of corruption down the side, hits some zombies, and the wider part hits the hand cannon mobs. I don't think that'll charge his passive. I think he's too far away. Yeah, they have to be within 35 meters, so that's too far of a spell cast for him to be trying to charge up his meter, so he is just going for poke damage on those hand cannons before he has to engage. I wouldn't hate for the Hell Cannon to rip one shot at this wounded one just to get him into crumbling range so he starts to finish himself off, because he's hovering at 2 to 4 leadership, so one more Hell Cannon shot would send him into that crumbling range. Speaking of which, this one's going to start crumbling a little bit. Warriors of Chaos playing it nice, smart, slow. If the coast isn't going to advance, might as well use your superior range to punish them. That hand cannon is starting to crumble. Do we see another invocation of the heck used on it, or is he just going to let that one go? Bomber Bat's moving. Skirmish Cav can't afford to get too far away from the Hell Cannon, or it will get sniped out by those bats. Though it only has 3 volleys left, so soon that defensive formation is not going to matter nearly as much. I like how they get the Nurgle aura of healing, even when it's 0%, so they're literally not getting any healing at all. I don't love the Hell Cannon trying to target the handgunner bats. I think you had a good thing going getting the hand cannons to crumble a little bit, so I don't know why we're switching on to bats this late in the game. This hand cannon's still crumbling, the other one is not. The bats take another shot. Last Hell Cannon volley, where is it going? I do like the discipline though. The temptation would be to shoot at the single entity, the Vampire Fleet Admiral, but on his crab he's too slow to thoroughly dodge, but he is capable of slightly dodging. And the real threat to you is those hand cannons killing your Mutilith Vortex Beast and your Sorcerer Lord and just taking them out of the fight. So good target discipline here from the Hell Cannon. I do question some of the bat shots a little bit, but overall fine. In go the Marauders. You can see that Nurgle caster is just lurking on the sidelines, waiting to get some of those kills to charge up his healing aura. Nice 2-for-1 stream of corruption is going to finish off one of the hand cannons. The other one is just starting to crumble, but in goes Aeson, and we still have some hand cannons alive. This could be incredibly dangerous. Yeah, you see he's already falling back, taking massive chunks to his HP. He's lost 1/3 of his HP. That is why he was working on those hand cannons so thoroughly, but didn't quite finish the job and suffered the price for it. Rance Visitation's Overcast, plus an Overcast of the Vampire Fleet Admiral hurting himself, does a lot of damage to the Vampire Coast caster, as the Warriors of Chaos might be running away with this game. The Vampire Coast Caster Lord just dying on impact with the enemy lines is a bit of a disaster. He's falling back with positive leadership, meaning he can cast his Invocation Heck, but in come the Pleasure Guard, and the charge takes him way down on leadership. He cannot cast Invocation of Heck right now. He is going down. Mutilith Vortex Beast gets a Fleshy Abundance, and that is probably GG this early on. I mean, you just lose your Lord as soon as the fight starts due to some beautiful charges from the Pleasure Guard and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle. Damn, 1,300 value on him so far, and I mean, it's an 8-minute game, but he only just got involved, so that was pretty crazy value for him. But anyway, the Night Terrors are getting ripped up. The hand cannon mobs are all about dead. We do have some handgun and bomber bats trying to punish the blob fight that has begun, but our Nurgle caster is 50% charged, so he is providing a decent AoE constant heal for the Pleasure Guard and the Mutal Vortex Beast. Hell Cannon is out of ammunition, is starting to move in, but the Skirmish Cav still firing away, getting decent damage on the Terror, the Night Terrors, getting decent damage on the Rotting Prometheans mobs. Everybody's dying for the coast. It is just GG. There's no way they can last another, what is that, 240 seconds, roughly 4 minutes. I'll go with 3. They can't last another 3 minutes under these circumstances. That's just not going to happen, in my opinion. Animated Hulks and this other crab mob are pretty healthy. The leadership is already looking a little rough for those Animated Hulks just because their lord is dead and they're now surrounded by enemies. Pleasure Guard continuing to fight and taking out the Night Terrors soon. I think that just about wraps this one up. Another heal comes in for the Mutal Vortex Beast, though. He is going to heal cap from it. So those handgun bats are going to show pretty good value, even though I personally don't rate them that highly this game. They probably got a lot of value in this late game shooting at the big monsters, but the game was too late for them to change, so I don't know. Still don't love bomber bats personally. I just think their DPS is too low. Deck droppers. Marauders and Nurgle going to take the point, getting rid of the last win condition for the Vampire Coast, and that is probably going to be a win for Akkein game 1 here. There we go. Army losses takes over. Very commanding win to start off. Marauders of Nurgle and Slaanesh, basic Marauders. Not too much value because they got involved very late in the game. Marauder Horsemen did fine. Mutal Vortex Beast, Hell Cannon, the, why can't I ever remember their name? Champions of Slaanesh, and then the Nurgle Lord did most of the work. Ahzek, his Lord didn't get much value. Honestly, his whole build spent the game getting shot to pieces, so not shocked that they lost, you know, no value on any unit here, but one hand cannon did get 1400 value from shooting the Mutal Vortex Beast, so you can see the threat that was there if the Warriors Cast hadn't dealt with them mostly before jumping in. Handgun bats ended up doing okay, crabs ended up doing okay, but as I was mentioning in-game, it was too little too late in my opinion, so I feel like that value was pseudo-fraudulent when the game is already decided and you just get to shoot at the Mutal Vortex Beast for free while waiting for the GG to happen. I don't think I don't think that unit actually made a huge impact on the game. Just my opinion, though. On to game 2 and more weird builds from these two players, though I'm not against it. I'm more confused about the vampire counts than the beastmen. The beastmen, I get what they're going for. I don't love it because I think Centaurs of Tzeentch were over nerfed in my opinion, so that's a little risky. Sons of Goros is fine. So for the beastmen side, since I understand more of what they're going for, I'll start with them. We have 4 Centaurs with throwing axes. We have a couple Ungor spearmen herds, a Gorgon, Centaurs of Tzeentch, the Sons of Goros, and then a Great Bray Shaman of Wilds with Traderkin. So this is really nice. It covers 2 builds well. Your Centaurs of Tzeentch and your Sons of Goros are armor-piercing light cavalry, where if you get good engagements for them, they can take out enemy Black Knights or Blood Knights. So if the enemy went mobile, you can counter them effectively. And if they went blobby, you have a Gorgon, 4 throwing axes, and Traderkin to defeat the Vampire Count's blob. So I really do like the Beastman build. It's just strange. I think Centaurs of Tzeentch are a little over-nerfed, which is all of my hesitation. But aside from that, I love the build. And I don't think they're terrible for what he needs them to do. They do have good armor piercing, but yeah. On the other side for the vampire counts, we have a Necrarch Vampire Lord with Curse of Honor here, Summon, and Spirit Leech. He did throw down a Curse of Honor here to slow the Centaurs to allow his Chillgeist to catch up. So we have Chillgeist, the Dire Pack, Frontline of Zombies, some Crypt Ghouls, and then a lot of Black Knights. 3 Black Knights with Lances and Barding, then Varric's Reavers, a Necromancer, a Banshee, and like we said, that Necrarch Vampire Lord. So the Chillgeists are trying to apply their double slows, the Chilling Aura and Frostbite, to catch the enemy, but the Centaurs of Tzeentch with their magic damage are perfect against Hex Wraiths. So since these two are clanmates, I wonder if internally he knew that Akkein really likes to take ghost units in this matchup, and that's why he went 4 Centaurs with magic damage, because the Sons of Goros, even though they're not Centaurs of Tzeentch, do have magic damage and armor piercing, and they charge straight into the Black Knights. The Black Knights got all of the damage out, and Sons of Goros got nothing, so I don't think the Sons of Goros had attack orders onto the Black Knights that ended up colliding with them. Otherwise, that just looked really strange. But the Chill Guys took half their HP in that first engagement with the Centaurs of Tzeentch. This is where some of my criticisms come in, though, is Centaurs of Tzeentch are so expensive, and they're very squishy. I just don't love the ratio. So the dogs plus the Hexwraith did kill off almost an entire Centaur of Tzeentch. Sons of Goros lost a good amount of their HP fighting those Black Knights, but they are starting to get their revenge on the Chillgeists. They will do well against the Black Knights if they get the charge. I do think the Sons of Goros, that one was just weird. Like, the Black Knights had charge orders onto them, and they were aiming at, I believe, the zombies behind them. Probably looking for a free charge, and that Black Knight just came out of the woods and kind of surprised the Beastman player, didn't see it coming. Gorgon's going to rip and tear through the main line, and I actually do worry about the Vampire Count's capabilities of killing the Gorgon. With no Blood Knights, with no Vargulfs, with no, honestly, Skeleton Spearmen, Graveguard Halberds, Blood Dragon Lord, anything like that, the Gorgon is going to be tough to kill. I guess you rely on the Banshees to kill it, the Banshee singular, but with Traderkin, that Banshee's time is numbered, so I don't know. I really think this Beastman build is quite well suited to deal with the Vampire Counts. The Vampire Counts took a strange build, and I really think it has some key weaknesses that are going to limit its capability of winning this game, personally. Big old Traderkin does hit several zombie units and the Chillgeists, so it is going to finish off the Chillgeists. Other than that, zombies, it's an okay cast, not amazing, but hitting a bunch of zombies is not usually a good use of your Winds of Magic, because zombies are just whatever. Invocation of Nehek onto the almost dead Chillgeist, really wants to keep them in this game, is also putting them next to the Necromancer to get their vigor back, to get more leadership. He wants their late game terror and speed debuffs. Okay, I get it. They are one of the 2 sources of terror on his roster versus the Beastmen. At first, when he was casting it, I'm like, I don't know if they're worth saving, but on reflection, yeah, they're a decent terror and slowing piece. You can just sit back and regenerate them. That's fine. Solid. That looks to be a Curse of Honor here. This could be a big play from the Vampire Coast. Counts. Beastmen melee stats are not that good. They rely heavily on charge bonus. So nerfing them, we can see these Centaurs with Throwing Axe are down to almost literally 0-0 for melee stats, and the Ungor Spearmen are starting to rout. Another Traderkin hits. That one is better. It hits 2 heavy cav and then 3 heavy cav and a bunch of zombies, so that's pretty good. Beastmen pulling ahead on the bounce power, I would tend to agree. Their Centaurs are cycle charging in and out effectively. Tzeentch ones are getting their barriers back before charging back in, which gives them pseudo regeneration, so good use of them by the Beastmen player. Centaurs are Throwing Axes, ending up in melee more than I would like. It seems like they keep going after zombies that are isolated and trying to get some free value, but then when there's chaos elsewhere, they keep getting countercharged by the Black Knights. So Centaurs are Throwing Axes maybe have to partake in more of the skirmish element of Skirmish Cav rather than trying to pick off the zombies, because he just keeps getting caught. Still, pretty massive lead in the game is feeling good. I don't think he's going to lose off of that, just noting some little problems that could plague him in closer series. Whereas this one, like, it is early in the game, we're only 5 minutes in, but like just looking at it, I personally am having a really hard time seeing how the Vampire Counts clutch this out. Centaurs of Tzeentch surrounding the Banshee have got her down to half HP. Once again, their magic damage doing a lot of work for them. The Centaurs are Throwing Axes, cycle charging in and out, in and out. Another Traderkin hits so many units for the Vampire Counts. They're not even like a blob build, but these Traderkins have still hit like 5+ units per cast, which is pretty crazy. Centaurs Throwing Axes on that far side did actually get routed off, so just the Beastman player did not notice their peril and did not come to save them. On the Vampire Count side, though, we are danger low on several health bars. The Black Knights are all but dead except for that one healthy one on one flank. You have healthy zombies, I guess that's okay, but a Banshee below half HP, your Necroc Lord's missing a third of his. I think all of the Crypt Ghouls are dead. No, there's one in front of me. He's down to about a quarter HP, maybe a fifth. But I just don't see the oomph out of the Vampire Counts. Meanwhile, for the Beastmen, you have 3 Centaurs Throwing Axes with a lot of ammo and HP left. You have various armor-piercing Centaurs with various amounts of HP, but 1 is nearly full health and 2 around half. So your 1 healthy Black Knight cannot take 3 Centaurs like that. And the Gorgon that we mentioned at the start of the game, he's still full HP, regenerating up like a boss and currently hunting your Necromancer, daring anything on the Vampire Count's build to come fight him, because he's just not afraid of anything they have to offer. He doesn't even have support nearby, and I don't necessarily think that's a mistake. The Beastmen are just busy cycle charging zombies, using the Gorgon as like a pressure point to push the necromancer back and daring anybody to come fight him. Now that they have moved up, he's just going to waddle his way back towards his own troops, regenerating all the while. Might want to give him charge orders on those zombies just to give him the charge animation and get him out of there more thoroughly, but for now the Centaurs are on zombie clearing duty. And none of them are actually summons. These are real zombies he's going to have to get rid of. But he wants to clear the field so that there's no infantry for the enemy to hide upon. You can see now that a cavalry piece got away from those zombies without any support. The beastmen pounce on it immediately. They just wanted to find a fight that wasn't on enemy infantry. The Gorgon is taking a good amount of HP, though, fighting the Banshee and the Necrarch Lord on top of enemy Crypt Ghouls, so is going to need to back off there. Taking more damage than I honestly would have expected, as the healthier Centaur of Tzeentch is trying to pounce on those other Black Knights. So like I said, the Beastmen really trying to catch out the last heavy cav of the Vampire Counts, any of them that are not currently on support. Beautiful catch there from those healthy Centaurs of Tzeentch. They are going to finish off that other Black Knight. Varric's Reavers are nearly heal capped. The other Black Knight is at half HP. Don't know how much healing it has gotten. The Beastmen throwing axes, falling back, though one of them is going to get caught yet again. The Gorgon is sniping out the Necromancer, who's using a Forbidden Rod right now, which is actually hurting him quite a lot, so he might kill himself off. Another Spirit Leech down onto the Gorgon, charging from the Necrarch Lord, backed up by the Banshees there, trying to take out that big centerpiece for the Beastmen. Meanwhile, the Sons of Goros rout off. The Varric's Reavers charge boldly after the throwing axes. Still have 99 armor, though I suppose those are armor-piercing missiles, so that doesn't matter. He's just bronze shielded with a little bit of healing left before he hits his healing cap. Gorgon is very low, has a lot of regeneration left he can do, but he does need some time to do it without the Necrarch Lord and the Banshee kicking his ass. I want to see who's gotten most of the value. Necrarch Lord only has 718, Banshee has 900, so it looks like the Banshee's been doing more of that damage. Black Knights did a little bit as well, but the Centaurs of Tzeentch getting a beautiful charge on them with no zombies around. A summon comes in, but it is a summon too late to save your healthy Black Knight. Rear charge in from another Centaur of Tzeentch, and the Gorgon is back in as well. That Black Knight is doomed. Speaking of doomed, the Varric's Reavers are off the map. They are dead entirely, and the balance of power is threatening to take the rest of the Vampire Counts with it. One last Spirit Leech for the road, but it's too late for the Necrarch Vampire Lord and his kin. There they go. Really, really cool build from the Beastmen. I like it a lot. It's kind of one of those builds that when you see it, it's strange that it never occurred to me before. In this matchup, I tend to go with like the Incarnate Elemental Beasts, 4 or 5 Ungor Raiders, and things like that. But just seeing this build, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I see how it handles blobs. I see how it handles mobility. Yeah, that's a good build. I might steal that build, you know, so that Beastman build's pretty solid. Centaur Tzeentch ended up doing very well. I really didn't think of the magic damage, right? I was just kind of missing that part of my analysis, so that does make it more worth it. They're still like prohibitively expensive, but magic damage against the counts is strong, especially as people are starting to take more hex wraiths here and there, and they take the Banshee is very common in this matchup, so magic damage Centaurs are good. I like it. Good value on the caster and the Centaurs. Gorgon got an impressive 2,700. Throwing axes did not get as much done as they would have liked, though. Some of that was player error, some of that was just not a lot of good targets. You're either throwing at shielded knights or ghosts with physical resistance or zombies. GG's, on to game 3. What in tarnation? It's a Nurgle mirror match. And it's full flying Nurgle versus Epidemius Blob Nurgle. This is wild. I think the air build probably wins, right? Just looking at it. I would not be shocked if he surrendered right now, but here we go. We have Epidemius, who I believe did get a bit of a buff in the last patch. He brought with him the Tallyman summon and his Tally of Pestilence. He has next to him a Plague Ridden, who recently got a pretty big buff in the Plague Flail Mortis engine, and then he has Fleshy Abundance for healing. We have the Festering Stooges, Exalted Plague Bearer ROR, 4 regular Plague Bearers, and then 4 Skirmish Cavalry. 3? I thought I saw 4. Huh, 3 Skirmish Cav. Angels of Decay, Plague Drone Deathhead ROR, and the Noxbringer, the ammo-reducing Soul Grinder of Nurgle. That's pretty smart. If you have an Epidemius Plague Bearer Blob with a Mortis engine alongside it, you do want to reduce the enemy Skirmish Cav ammunition, so the Poxbringer is smart for that. On the other side, we have 4 Skirmish Cav, 4 Marauder Horsemen of Nurgle throwing axes. We have 3 Plague Drones Death's Heads, one of which is the Angels of Decay, then 2 Plague Drone Regulars, and 1 Marauder of Nurgle, with a Herald of Nurgle up in the sky, with almost all of his spells: Fleshy Abundance, Rants of Visitations, Miasm of Petulance, Stream of Corruption, and then his Locus of Fecundity and Tormentor Sword. Interesting. Okay. Personally, I think the green build is really well set up against what his opponent brought. The Noxbringer is going to have to get some crazy ammo reduction going on, which he also has ammo reduction on his melee. So if your opponent screws up like that, I think you need to hop into melee quick and just get 1 attack off to get some more ammunition reduction, because soon you'll run out of ammo and then these guys will still have ammo left. So whenever you can hop into melee, probably a good idea. The red Nurgle build is just going to try and tank the ammunition, heal through it, and then win in the melee, because the melee is not a contest. The green build has horrible melee capacity. Plague Drones do okay-ish in melee, but not amazing, not compared to Plague Bearers on top of Epidemius. Well, Sands of Sickness die with each nearby entity death, so he does want to be near his Plague Bearers as they're dying, but it looks like for now he doesn't want to leave the trees. I'm going to fast forward just a teeny bit through the skirmish phase, as both sides just going to be shooting at each other for a little bit. And red is advancing some Plague Bearers to eat damage. He just wants to use up that opponent's damage, right? The Skirmish Cav, the Angels of Decay, you pretty much accept they're going to use all their ammo, whether the Noxbringer takes it from them or whether they shoot your actual units. And for green side, I do need to see him getting more aggressive, because time is favoring red here. We saw a big Fleshy Abundance overcast on all of these units. They got healed right back up, and the Noxbringer is constantly taxing that ammunition of yours. So you do want to get in there. Noxbringer's firing yet again, and he got a double shot there. He hit both Marauder Horsemen, so that's double ammo erosion. All right, Plague Bearers overextending for the red side. The melee Plague Drones are going to hop in and kill them off, so that's a mistake from the red side player, who so far had been playing a pretty tight game. I understand wanting to run them up and eat the enemy's ammunition, but if the enemy does just kill you with their melee assets, well, you're out of support range of your Epidemius and Herald of Nurgle, then that's probably just not worth your time, unfortunately. Angels of Decay move back up. Fire off a couple quick shots at the Marauder Horsemen, get some good damage value, and then are going to fall back as the Noxbringer lines up another shot. But he's been getting a lot of ammo destruction on these Marauder Horsemen. 6 volleys and 3 volleys left for them, only 4 minutes into the game. 5 and 4 on the other side. Now our Plague Drones doing? Angels of Decay still have a lot of shots. The other Plague Drones are both under half. Another good shot, Cloud of Erosion, once again destroying that ammunition for the Marauder Horsemen of Nurgle. And the Plague Drones are just going to jump into melee real quick, realizing that the red Skirmish Cavalry were overextended. Routing them off is quite nice. They'll probably be back. You don't necessarily have the tools to run them down right now. Your Marauder Horsemen aren't in position, and since they're literally the same unit, we know neither is faster than the other one. So these guys will rally with plenty of time back. The Tallyman's Blades come out. That is what they are, right? Yeah, Tallyman's Blades comes out early. Exalted Plague Bearer summon, just wants to use their grenades real quick on the Plague Drones that happen to be in melee. Get a good volley on the Angels of Decay Death's Heads. So the Festering Stooges and the Exalted Plague Bearer summon both waddling up, going to use their grenades as quickly as possible, especially the ones to summon, because it's going to fade away. Red team feels like they need to go take the point now. Skirmish Cav on the red side still have some decent ammunition. On the green side, not nearly as much. 2 of them are out of ammo? No. 2 have 1 volley left. 1 has 0. 1 has 5. For his Air Force, we have 10 volleys, which is quite a lot on the Angels of Decay, but then the other Death's Heads are 5 and 2. Green running into a lot of troubles. I have not loved their hesitation to use their ammunition, because they're just taking so much ammo corrosion for how slowly they're trying to play this. And yeah, I don't know. I like this. This immediate moment is good from green. Backing off when the Exalted Plague Bearer summons out, you're just wasting his summon, which is good. That's good for you, right? Solid. Positive. He didn't get to use all of his grenades. He definitely didn't get to use them in melee, so that's great. But before this, I did want to see him being more aggro, because they're going to get their shots off on you no matter what. The 3 Marauder Horsemen and the Noxbringer, they're just gonna... I honestly think you tank that. You just tank the damage, like, get up nice and close and just burn your ammo on them nice and early, get them off the field, and then you'll be okay. Tiptoeing around like this has been rough on your ammo supply, and it's like, sure, maybe you saved yourself some damage, but you've lost so much of your damage value that just got obliterated by the ammo corrosion that, I don't know, seems rough. So I'd like to see them being more aggressive. It's not terrible, it's just small optimization things, but we are getting to the late game. Red is now taking the points. You're gonna have to force them off of it. Green skirmish cav runs out and still harasses the plague drones a little bit here and there. Noxbringer's holding on to his last 2 shots. Wants to make them good ones. And his Angels of Decay still have half ammunition and full HP, which is quite solid. Green did get off an overcasting Fleshy Abundance to heal up his plague drones. The Festering Stooges fire a little bit at the Plague Drone Death Head. Tormentor's Sword, ooh, that's nice. Tormentor's Sword netting this Marauder Horseman, 2 of them, right in place so that his Plague Drones could dive down. A lot of damage coming back on those Plague Drones, but these are the ones that have used almost all their ammunition. They are almost essentially a melee unit anyway, which was smart. He didn't dive in his Plague Drones that actually still have a lot of ammunition left like that. That's quite good. Noxbringer uses one of his last 2 volleys, and it unfortunately entirely misses the Marauder Horseman that still had good ammunition. And what is this now? Curse of the Slug, slowing down the Angels of Decay for the red side. The green side pounces, throwing a lot of their Plague Drones after that. The healthier elite version of their opponent getting beautiful damage on it. So green getting some really good plays after an early game that I was not a fan of. His late game has been phenomenal. Very good heals, very good patience, waiting out that summon. Everything since he waited out the summon has been fantastic from the green player, so he's doing a really good job in this late game here. Angels of Decay getting hit with a Locus of Fecundity, so they are going to heal cap, as the red Angels of Decay have died off. Epidemius is still trying to charge up. How is he doing? Is he fully charged? He is essentially fully charged, so physical resistance and melee attack for this whole blob. Though not a lot of physical damage coming out from the other side. Marauder Horseman in melee and the single Marauder are going to be the only sources of physical damage. Noxbringer is nearly heal capped, but in a dangerous struggle with the Plague Drones. As he is held in place, you can see those Death's Heads getting a terrible toll upon his body as they rip him limb from limb as he tries to retreat. Now, green is running out of ammo. We only have 1 Plague Drone with ammo left. It has 4 volleys, and then we have 1 Marauder Horseman with ammo left. He also has 4 volleys. Soon this is going to become a melee grind, and red is ready for it. Balance power is slightly favoring green. Red probably okay with that. Obviously would always like to be ahead on the balance power. Who wouldn't? But this is probably about what you expected when you saw the enemy's build compared to yours. So entering a late game situation in a relatively normal state of affairs. Another overcast Fleshy Abundance though onto the Plague Drones of Nurgle. All of the melee variants at this point. And Herald of Nurgle himself is going to bloody his hands, fighting the Festering Stooges in just a weird cloud of mist and bugs and nonsense. Still though, Exalted Plague Bearers in melee should beat Plague Drones. They should be pretty happy with that. Marauder Horsemen and the Angels of Decay using their last volleys on the Noxbringer. Just want to get rid of that guy. He has 1 volley left, though there's very little ammunition left for him to deplete, so he's just going to use it for damage on the Marauder Horseman. Solid. It's a little vortex, though. We'll do a little extra damage as the Angels of Decay dive in. There's no ammunition left for anybody. This is a melee fight from here on. I guess there's 1 Marauder Horseman of the red team in the distance with a little bit of ammo, but he is so low, I doubt he will matter. Noxbringer, Demonic Instability crumbles away for a second, then manages to rally, but I do think he'll be crumbling again in no time. There he goes. Epidemius and the Plague Bearers trying to hold. Both sides have about 200 tickets on the victory point, though red is now going to hold it until this game ends one way or the other. Because if they get kicked off of it, they've lost so much they're just going to hit army losses, and if they don't get kicked off of it, then obviously they'll eventually win. Marauders and Marauder Horsemen lining up. No ammunition left. These skirmish cav not looking forward to charging into Plague Bearers. And the Plague Drones have gotten some decent damage value this game. Good cycle charging, but those healing cap bars are very visible and right next to where they are. So each of them has just a little bit of healing they can get remaining. And the Plague Bearers can still get a good amount of healing. So I wonder what the Plague Ridden will use the rest of his Winds of Magic on. Oh, I suppose he only has Fleshy Abundance, so I expect to see another overcast Fleshy Abundance here quite soon from the red team. I haven't seen too many from them this game, so I doubt they're out of Winds of Magic just yet. We'll see. I think they have one more left in them, and I hope it's an overcast, but if it's not, probably undercast it onto, I would say, just a regular Plague Bearer. The Festering Stooges have high enough leadership and self-regeneration that you just want to keep another Plague Bearer in the game. Big charge comes in from the green team. Herald of Nurgle threw out the Tormentor's Sword to reduce their melee attack for what he could. He's now trying to cycle charge in and out. Marauder's taking a lot of damage. Marauder Horsemen also suffering and terror routing away from the Festering Stooges, whose healing cap has appeared. Herald of Nurgle is in the middle of it all with some other Plague Drones helping him out. There's no mass in the red Nurgle build, so he can't hold that Herald in place, but you never know. Plague Bearers are still thick boys. You could see him maybe getting stuck. I haven't seen a lot of Plague Drones having issues getting out of infantry squalls, but you never, there's always time for new jank, right? The Fecundity is out for the red side, healing up multiple Plague Bearers, and Epidemius plus his Plague Ridden. Epidemius giving everybody, is it 20% or 20? He's giving everyone 20 melee attacks, so the Plague Bearers at 50 melee attack right now, which is actually so much. Holy crap, Festering Stooge is up to 65 melee attack. So Epidemius might unironically carry this game with his late game stat charging for all of his Plague Bearers. Plague Ridden of Nurgle is just trying to Mortis engine down anybody that comes into contact. The Herald of Nurgle taking a lot of damage, and once again, another healing cap has appeared. Fecundity in this time for the green side as he charges in. But as we were mentioning, it's a good Fecundity. It's a good cast. But he's so close to his healing cap and all these units anyway, it does have limited value. Epidemius and the Plague Ridden trying to kill the Herald of Nurgle. Meanwhile, the cavalry keeps cycle charging into the Festering Stooges, into the Plague Bearers. And Plague Bearers are not thought to be a good infantry unit in a lot of situations because they're weak to archer fire, because they're slow, because they're weak to cav cycle charging, because they're weak to chariots, because they're weak to monsters. On and on and on. The one thing that they are good at is a slap fight. And when it came down to a late game slap fight on top of Epidemius, they are loving it and doing a great job. Their leadership is not going anywhere right now as the Herald of Nurgle continues to take a little damage, is going to fall back. We are down to 200 capture points left before the red side just wins it all. The green team needs to back off, gather their bearings, refresh their charge bonus, and come in once again. Their Locus of Fecundity has no more charges on that. Tormentor's Sword we just saw go down, so he will need a little bit before he can cast that again, as some Plague Drones do try and charge the Festering Stooges, who are maybe out of position. In comes another charge from all of the flies. And the Plague Bearers are getting a little low, right? So there is risk here. I've been impressed with their ability to hold so far, but, you know, things could tip. Eventually one crumbles, and then the others get spooked because one's crumbling, and there's a cycle crumble going on. Could be. So we have some Marauder Horsemen in the distance that do need to return to the fight. The Plague Bearers are just holding, though. All of these flies swarming in, not getting enough damage out, and they themselves are starting to come under the strain of demonic instability crumbling. It goes both ways. The Plague Bearers could start a chain reaction of crumbling, but so could these Plague Drones. We see so many of them so low that when one starts, the others might follow. There goes one of your Plague Drones' death's heads. The other one's super close, but not quite. And there's a Tormentor's Sword down, losing one of the Plague Bearers. Tormentor's Sword brings their melee attack down to 26, even with Epidemius' buff. That is still pretty nasty. Other Plague Drones are fading away, though. There goes two. There go the Marauders. Balance of power is 50-50 for the first time in quite a while. Epidemius is down to half HP, though he is currently getting healed with another Fecundity, and the Herald of Nurgle has to back off. One Plague Bearer died, but we lost, I believe, 3 Plague Drones, and now green is down on the balance of power, and I would definitely agree, as we're still grinding away. 1 minute left for green to just end this game, and it looks like they're having a hard time doing it. Herald of Nurgle and his Plague Drones jump back in, because what else are they going to do? But Marauder Horsemen are nowhere nearby to support. Some of them are rallying, coming back to the fight with blinking leadership bars already. And you just can't clear out Epidemius. You just can't clear out the Plague Bearers, and I think that's going to be a GG. I really liked the green build coming into the game, but maybe I was wrong, maybe it wasn't played correctly, maybe a bit of both, but Epidemius is the one left laughing at the end of the game. And there's just no hope at this point. Last of the Plague Drones is going to fade. It's just the Herald of Nurgle and 4 skirmish calves that are all very wounded. They can't beat these guys, not going to happen. Look at him, all smug on his little throne. He's not even paying attention to the fight, he's just writing. Man, BM from Epidemius. Banned for bad manners. That's going to be a 2-1 lead for Ahzek against Akkein. Herald and Nurgle, not a ton of value on Akkein's side. Melee Plague Drones did pretty well. Plague Drones with Death's Heads did very, very well, though we do have to think of how much healing happened in this game. So those values are going to be inflated a little bit. The Marauder Horseman values, I do think, tell us the tale of the tape. They got so little value, just meaning either their volleys were dodged or they lost so much ammo to the Noxbringer, and I think it is a little bit of both. So that's why I did just want to see them be more aggressive in the early game and just use their ammunition, use it or lose it kind of situation. Epidemius, 1400 value, which is not bad for a support lord at all. That's actually quite a lot. Herald of Nurgle, 2100, which is much more what I expected. Noxbringer, not a lot of damage value, but really it's that ammo reduction that he was so useful for. So I do think he was an MVP, even if he doesn't show it. Plague Bearers, including the Arwar Exalted Plague Bearer, insane value, but they did get so much slapping done in that late game. And the Skirmish Cav on Ahzek's side, the 3 Skirmish Cav and his 1 Plague Drone got a lot of damage value against the superior forces. So yeah, I do think Ahzek just had better ammo management. Oh, crap. Is this the first game they've done this? I don't know. I don't know, and I'm scared. All right, I need to go look at something. So we have Ahzek versus Akkein, but Ahzek is on the Ogre Kingdom, so he's on the left side. Have they been switching off this whole time? Okay. Okay. I'll look into it later. I don't know. People in the chat can tell me if I've been not flip-flopping as they were. I thought the same players sent in the replay each time, so, and their names are both FOK, and then they start with an A, and they have K's in their names and E's in their names, so they're similar names, so I don't know if I just didn't notice it, but the names are flip-flopped, so if you want this to go to a game 5, you are actually rooting for the Vampire Coast, and if you want this to end here, Ahzek is the Ogre Kingdoms, and he's currently up 2-1, I believe. As a caster, it really messes with me if different players sent in different replays. I'm not a fan of that. Okay. We have Noblar Flingers, Ogre Bulls, Gorgers, Noblar Trappers, an Eshin Maneater, Slaughtermaster of Heavens. Ooh, Heavens. Comet of Cassandora and Curse of the Midnight Wind, and then more Ogre Bulls and Saber Dust packs. So a lot of pseudo-archers versus the Vampire Coast. For the Vampire Coast, we have 2 Deathstreak Terrorgeists, one of which has Luther Harkon atop it. Cool, he has his Hornswoggle. Then Vampire Fleet, Captain of the Deeps with Fog of the Damned and Denizens of the Deep and Tidecall, so 3 spells they can cast. Lamper's Revenge, Scurvy Dogs, Pole Arms Zombies, which is pretty smart. Shade Wraith Gunners, Double Carronade, and another Pole Arm up on the hill. That is going to be a nasty Vampire Coast build, honestly. The cannons will do so much work versus the Ogre Kingdoms. Now, the Ogres are falling back. We've talked about this a lot, but when you have a defensive build, which the Vampire Coast usually do, you're gonna need to position in a way where your cannon's range overlaps significantly with the capture point so you can punish the enemy for capturing it and falling back. It's a sand map, so it's really hard to tell where their line ends. All right, so here's the range. Yeah, that range does cover the capture point, which is nice, but there's just Noblars to shoot at, and the Ogres are putting anything worth shooting at out of range, or the Eshin Maneater is currently stalked, so he's running out there to maybe mark someone for Eaton to lower their armor for all of his archers or something, but mostly staying out of range is pretty smart. Ooh, nasty overcast damage on the Vampire Fleet Captain though, so that's a bit rough. Anyway, the Shade Wraith Gunners are far out of range as part of my point. They do need to move up. They're really good against Noblars. The low leadership of those guys, you can just cycle route them until they shatter. And they were not nearly in range of the point, so I do think they deployed a little conservatively. Now he's redeploying them quickly. I can give him credit for that. So maybe deploy up on the hill, give yourself a nice advantage if the Ogres are going to bum rush you, and now seeing that they're not, you can move up and get the Shade Wraiths back in range. But with this many archers and how few melee units the Vampire Coast brought, they're going to need to be aggressive about killing these Noblars so they can walk up and take the point. Because if the Noblars kill off all your zombies, then your capture weight is just abysmal, and you have a lot of money is in the air. Double Terrorgeist, including Luther Harkon, is like 4,000 gold. That has 0 capture weight. It cannot capture. Cannons currently firing at anything they can get their mitts on, which for now is some Noblar Trappers and some Noblar Flingers. And Luther is just lurking. He hasn't been able to get as aggressive as he would like to. He fears a supreme crossfire. No individual Noblar Trapper or Flinger is dangerous, but 10 of them all shooting at Luther can be quite a lot. Unshielded, 80 armor, not a massive health pool. Terrorgeists aren't nearly as tanky as dragons are. A lot of self-regeneration, but, you know, don't want to waste the time. Shade Wraith Gunners finally get up here, applying their Discourage to the Noblar Trappers, and that should turn into a rout pretty quickly. Little Noblars, 1 leadership, -4, there it is, and they shatter. That's what you're going to have to do versus these low leadership archers of the Ogre Kingdoms, is just cycle route them until they shatter themselves off the field. As Carronades and Shade Wraith Gunners fire in, that is overlapping debuffs, under artillery fire, and then attacked in the rear by Luther. Good jobs. The Coast doing exactly what they need to win this game at this point. The Ogres, realizing they are outgunned, obviously, are starting to move up. The Lampester's Revenge have taken the point, and they are going to hold it alone for a little bit to try and mitigate how much damage the Flingers can do, but the Eshin Maneater is a real problem for this. Marked for Eaton plus his armor shred, he can bring the Lampester's Revenge probably down to like 40 armor, and then they will take so much damage from the Flingers. So I do want to see that combo from the Ogres. I want to see a lot of Flingers aiming at the Lampester's Revenge right about now when that Weeping Blades is about to hit them. Eshin Maneater and his Ogre Bulls get dove on by Luther Harkon, however, so they might not be able to get the punishment they want out as the Shade Wraith Gunners continue to rout off random Noblars. The Noblar Trappers and Flingers are moving in. A lot of them are shooting at the Lampester's Revenge, but Marked for Eating did not come out, and the Eshin Maneater did not land a single hit on the Lampester's Revenge, so no damage out from them. Curse of the Midnight Wind lowers their armor, but it's not stacked. I have to say that's a little sloppy. If you wanted Curse of the Midnight Wind, they also need to be hit with Marked for Eaton. They also need that armor shred to just get them down to nothing, and then your Flingers can kill them off, but that was not the case. And now I think he's trying to get back in range for Marked for Eating now, but it's a little late. Yeah, missed opportunity there. Now the Ogres are overextended. Some zombies are finding their way onto Noblar Flingers. A summon also ends up on some Noblar Trappers. The Eshin Maneater is in now. Weeping Blade reduces their armor down to 60, and Gorgers have found the Shade Wraith Gunners, so that is a good win for the Ogre Kingdoms. Ogre Bulls are also flying into the back line, and the Carronades are all of a sudden in a little bit of danger. We have some pole arms out of position that do need to come back, but the Ogres are so much faster that they should be able to get through here quite quickly. Lampester's Revenge taking a lot of damage. Shade Wraith Gunners taking a lot of damage. And Scurvy Dogs that ran in to try and help, not getting too much done as the Carronades fire at the Gorgers. But Ogre Bulls will come for them soon. We have these pole arms that were kept in reserve moving down the hill to try and intercept the Ogre Bulls and try and remedy the situation. Balance power is in the Vampire Host's favor. It's another Tide Call goes through Noblar Trappers. Both Terrorgeists are still quite healthy. The Lampester's Revenge are incredibly damaged, but they have regeneration. If they can be bailed out, maybe they can regen up. No Invocation to Heck, though. They do have a Deeps caster, not a Vampire's caster. These crabs are gone. They've crumbled away. A Common Cassandora tried to hit some pole arms, but good dodge from the Vampire Coast player. And the Ogre Bulls have hit the back line, but the zombie deckhand mobs got there in time, so the pole arms are going to try and defend the cannons from those deadly ogres. Nice job splitting up the ogres, though, realizing there's only one pole arms crew. They can't be at both cannons at the same time, so really good play there from the ogres. Gonna shut down both Carronades at once and even kill one of them off. Gorger's getting very low. Unbreakable, though, so the Vampire Ghosts do have to kill them all the way to the end. Lampester's Revenge are beyond the point of saving. At this point, they are going to crumble into nothingness, even with their regeneration. It's just too late to help them. Noblar Flingers still trying to make a difference in this game. Some of them are shooting at Luther. Some are shooting at pole arms. And the Ogre Bulls were forced away from that one Carronade, as more Ogre Bulls are trying to come back here, but the Carronade pushes some of them off. Their leadership is super low, but they do manage to hold on to their leadership for now. Retreating away as the cannon shoots them in the backside. That is going to send them a routing. Ogre Bulls did manage to flank that Carronade, so second one's going to come down the hill. Balance power is evening right up, and the Ogre Kingdoms have had the point for quite a while. 400 capture weight on it. 200 seconds left until they just win outright, but the Vampire Coast is going to take it. That polearms mob should be able to do it, and the Flingers just did not want to stick around and die for that sort of thing. Luther Harkon's getting very low. He's marked for Eaton, and with Weeping Blade, he's down to 10 armor. Those Flingers can get a lot of damage out now. In comes the Comet of Cassandora. Doesn't do as much damage as you would think because the flag isn't where the unit was. The polearms actually dodged very nicely. Gorger's insanely low. Eshin Maneater also very low, and Luther is regenerating up. He has natural regen. He doesn't need to be in melee to get it. It's not the hunger. Ogres did finish off both Carronades, however, and they've now taken the lead on the balance of power. The Eshin Maneater is walking away very low on HP. Gorgers are jumping in to kill off the Terrorgeist. The polearms mobs are moving over to help out a little bit. Terrorgeist still have a lot of regeneration left between them, so they can do okay. The Coast took the points. Yeah, they stopped the imminent doom. We still have one very healthy Ogre Bull. We have a couple healthy Noblar Flingers with a lot of ammunition left, and a second actually decently healthy Ogre Bull. The Slaughtermaster is very healthy as well. For the Coast, a couple healthy polearms. Half HP for 3 of them, honestly, and then one healthy one in the background. One is just about dead. Luther is very low, but still regenerating and has a decent amount of HP left. He can regen. The other Terrorgeist is quite healthy, don't know where its healing cap is, and his caster is above half HP. Who knows? It's a Winds of Magic situation. Luther finishes off the Eshin Maneater. No more armor sundering, no more marked for Eaton. That's a pretty good win. That'll really reduce the impact of all of these archers. Ogre Bull's running back, trying to peel for the Noblar Flingers, and it looks like it's all in on trying to snipe out Luther Harkon at this point. Ooh, some of the Flingers are still shooting at halberds, I guess. That's fine. Not terrible. Lots of good targets. Not a lot of bad targets. I think the only bad target would be trying to use Noblar Flingers on the Foot Vampire of the Deeps. That's just not going to work out, but good damage on the polearms is nice in the late game to save your Ogre Bulls. The Death Street Terrorgeist has dove into the enemy formation, is now just surrounded. The Ogres trying to find any flesh on there they can rend and mark for Eaton. Get a good meat feast going, but not the case so far. In comes Fog of the Damned, lowering the leadership and causing some terror routes, though. Big problem for the Ogre Kingdoms. All of a sudden, these guys are heading for the hills. The Gorgers are unbreakable. There's only 3 models there, and they are fighting 135 polearms at the moment, so I do expect to see them dropping quite soon. Luther and the other Terrorgeist going after the Slaughtermaster of Heavens, trying to walk him down. Hornswoggle going to slow him down, reduce his melee defense, but they are just stuck in too many Ogre bodies. They're not able to get out. Just going to have to be happy enough with routing off several Ogres. Curse of the Midnight Wind once again lowering Luther's armor down to 45 right now as the Flingers start to fire at him once more. And other Noblars rallying towards this wounded Deckhands mob polearms that is self-disintegrating. It is going to fall away soon as it crumbles. So they could take that point back, and remember how close they are on capture points to just a victory outright. This could get a little risky. Luther throws out a nice breath attack across the Gorgers and the Slaughtermaster. A little poke on the Gorgers, but mostly good damage on the Slaughtermaster as he is going to think about pursuing that guy. His pistol is out of ammunition, so he can't poke him safely from the air, and the Death Street Terrorgeist is going to fall back towards some polearms that are closing in. 50-50 balance of power, slightly in the favor of the Vampire Coast, so actually more like 60-40. And Luther is just going to dedicate his time chasing off 2 very healthy Noblar Flingers. He doesn't want to do that for too long. Probably doesn't want to walk them all the way off the map. It could take a lot of time. He's an expensive boy. Ooh, yeah, and the Coast need to get back to the point. They see that, though. Noblar Flingers and Trapper is going to finish off that polearms that he dedicated to keeping the point under control, so he is going to fall back to it with a healthier polearms. And the Terrorgeist routes the Slaughtermaster, is going to walk him to the edge of the map. The Ogre's leadership is already their main concern, so if their Lord dies, it's just going to get abysmally bad for them. But not all hope is lost. We are losing polearms. Gorgers have peeled for their lords. The Slaughtermaster looks like he's going to come back now. I haven't seen too many army abilities from the Ogres. I don't know what their charge is looking like, but a Dismember could slow the Terrorgeist and let the Slaughtermaster get to safety. A Meat Feast could heal him or an Ogre Bull up, so this game is not decided just yet. The Coast are looking ascendant, but it's not over, as Luther is stuck just chasing around Noblar Flingers. He is trying to regenerate up, so he's not wasting his time. Just healing where he's not going to get shot with things, but still. And now he is getting shot by things, but still, it feels bad to have a giant monster lord chasing off chaff flingers. The polearms crew that was previously half health has reached the point, though the Noblar trappers and Noblar flingers have taxed his HP so thoroughly that it looks like it is also going to die, and the Ogre Kingdoms will probably retake the point any second now. Terrorgeist is back in on the Slaughtermaster of Heavens, going to rout him for the second time, but Ogre Bulls are here to peel, so once again, he will not die just yet. Terrorgeist taking a lot of damage. Its healing cap is in sight and getting closer by the second, but the Ogre Bulls are going to terror out off any second now. There they go. I don't see a meat feast. I don't see anything, but the Ogre Kingdoms are going for a Hail Mary. They're retaking the point and hoping they can hold on for 3 minutes, and they probably can. Capture weight wise, the coast is spent. Their hero is most of their capture weight. Both their zombies are crazy low on capture weight, so it is now a ticking timer. Can the Vampire Coast end this game in the next 3 minutes, or will the Ogre Kingdoms win by default? The last of the ground forces are dying off. Luther's coming back, nearly heal capped. The Terrorgeist is almost back to full HP, but it is going to be heal capped, so that'll be the last time it hits full HP. Any damage after this point will start to stick. Polearms both crumbling away as the Noblar Flingers seek to hurry that along. And the Ogre Kingdoms are going to get hit with an army losses. As their Slaughtermaster shatters, it's just too much for them to bear. And they do get hit with an army losses. I felt like that was a little premature on the army losses side, but it is what it is. Gorgers, he's going for the play. He's just going to count on the fact that they can't capture, so his Gorgers Unbreakable are going to run away, and they're stalking now, but Luther and the other Terrorgeist are plenty fast to catch up to those guys and run them down. Okay, I don't know if any of the previous replays were screwed up, who was who or who was where, because apparently, I don't know. I don't remember if the players were flip-flopping or if this was the only game they flip-flopped. But for your confusion's sake, that brings us to Game 5. Spoilers-wise, I knew there was a Game 5, so that's when I was starting to panic, where I'm like, wait, Ahzek sent in the replay. Usually people send in a replay if they win, so if he wins... If Ahzek wins, that would make this 3-1, which is impossible. I know I cast them in the right order. So, anyway, my paranoia aside, maybe I did attribute the wrong win to someone down the line. But for this game here, it is 2-2. As Akkein, who is on the right side now, does win, bringing us to 2-2. Let's get on to the last game. They flooped me. Ahzek sent in the last replay as well. So just for everyone's confusion, like to try and make this as clear as possible, I am now going to officially flip them since we're entering this game 2-2, and this is the last game, so there's no reason to keep them that way there. So now, the green side is now Ahzek on the left. If you want Ahzek to win, you're rooting for Grand Cathay. On the right, in the red, is Akkein on the Demons of Chaos. This seems like a really hard matchup for the Demons of Chaos, in my opinion. We have a Soulgrinder of Tzeentch, the Noxbringer Soulgrinder of Nurgle, Hellforge Bellower's Skull Cannon ROR, Bloodletters, Blue Horrors, a Herald of Nurgle with Rants of Visitations, Fleshy Abundance, and Stream of Corruption, some Rot Flies, and the Blazing Squealers, Exalted Pink Horror ROR. That's cool. That's a lot of cool units. This build also to me feels incredibly outdated. Soulgrinder of Tzeentch has been nerfed into the dirt. It is almost unusable. I think there's a couple matchups where it's maybe still okay, but it's pretty bad these days. Noxbringer's still very good. The Hellforge Bellowers also got heavily nerfed. Their range is terrible now, and their damage is just a little less good. So 2 of your units have been nerfed for what you're trying to use them for, and then like Rotfly's got some buffs, but I don't know if it's going to be enough here. I don't love it. For Grand Cathay, it's been buffs, buffs, and more buffs. And how about some buffs? Do you want some buffs, friend? Here are buffs, and I'm starting to feel it. 2 Onyx Croman regular, 1 Empress Croman. We have a Longman Rider as well, 2 Grand Cannons, a Jade War Drum, the Zhengdu War Drum ROR, Alchemist with just Final Transmutation, then Peasant Long Spear front line, Peasant Archers up front, and the Lord Magistrate buffed on his balloon, baby. Let's go. I have the Dragon to spot any stocked people's Inspired Defense for extra melee defense and stuff, and he has the Kite. He brought an Air Mortis Engine in case of air cheese from the Demons of Chaos. He could Mortis Engine them down in melee. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because I feel like most of the flying units would kick your ass anyway, but maybe it's good for like getting rid of Furies. Actually, yeah, it might be good for getting rid of Furies. Magic damage ammunition on their way in, and then when they surround you and flutter around, you hit them with the Mortis engine and they just drain themselves to death. Could be. So the Soul Grinder kite is real. The Grand Cannons getting magic attacks from the Fury of Fallen Blades. Ooh, I like that tech actually quite a lot. He's giving magic damage to his range units that don't usually have it. But the Noxbringer has always been pretty good against artillery, reducing their ammunition. As the Soul Grinders do a bunch of dodging, the Hellforged Bellowers get a good shot onto the Peasant Archers, which I don't know why the Peasant Archers overextended like that. They're way ahead of their front line. They don't need to be. Like, they're not reasonably going to pressure the Soul Grinders, so I don't really know what they're trying to do here. Just dying to the Hellforged Bellowers, I guess. I would like to see the flying units get much more engaged here, because the Noxbringer is harassing your cannons quite effectively. So what you could do is have your Longma Riders out and about and like threatening to jump into him in melee. Meanwhile, the cannons just pummel him. But you can't let him get these shots off. The cannons aren't going to beat him 1v1 because he's just so good at dodging. And also their focus isn't really there. I've seen them shooting a couple shots at the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, getting rid of his barriers, and then they'll switch to the Hellforged Bellowers and the Noxbringer. And they've gotten some damage on the Noxbringer, but you can see the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch still has literally full HP, so they've just damaged his barriers a little bit, and that's it. The Noxbringer's taken some good damage, but I'd like to see both cannons on the Noxbringer, personally. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to tax the micro, and like, well, you can't dodge two different things at once, but clearly so far he is doing pretty good at dodging two things at once. I don't know. If you are going to do this, then I at least want you to stay on the same target. So, like, keep shooting the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch and the Noxbringer, one cannon on each, if that's what you're going to do. But flip-flopping around is just not really going too well. Noxbringer did take a good amount of damage, so did need to get a Fleshy Abundance cast. And one of our cannons is about out of ammo. It only has 2 volleys left. The other one has 15. I still don't know what these archers are doing out here. They're not going to do significant damage to the Soul Grinders. I don't know. I don't want to be too critical, but it's just kind of blowing my mind. Like, if you're going to run out here and harass them to try and reduce their shots on your cannons, then why aren't the Longma Riders and the Onyx Crowman out here doing some work? If you aren't going to pressure them, then why are the archers out here just getting sniped for no reason? Like, it's kind of an either or, worst of both worlds, best of neither situation. Noxbringer taking a lot of damage though, and he did already get a Fleshy Abundance, so that damage is starting to stack up. He did get a good shot onto the last cannon that has ammunition, however. 7 volleys left for that one, 0 for the other. Soul Grinder of Tzeentch has gotten a measly 250 value, which is kind of why I was like, the cannons even need to shoot the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch? He kind of sucks. Like, just let him shoot. It's fine. Lord Magistrate taking some damage from the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, probably wants to fall back a little bit. Tzeentch Soul Grinder only has 11 shots left, however. Noxbringer fires another round at our cannons. That's a hit. Takes their ammo down to 3 from 6. They're now down to 2. A couple shots are going to bounce off the Noxbringer as he runs away. Did take some damage, but that's about it on the cannons of Grand Cathay. They're going to get kited now. Locus of Fecundity down to heal the Hellforged Bellowers, heal the Noxbringer, heal everybody. The cannons are just pelting these Soul Grinders, but yeah, I don't want to be too much of a dick, right? Like, you don't want to just criticize and be like, wow, that sucks, wow, everything's bad. But this early game confuses me, and I think it's going to cost Grand Cathay quite a lot. I don't honestly know if they can win. The cannons are both now out of ammo, so your single entity target damage is quite low. You have some spears, you have some wounded archers, and then you have a bunch of flyers. And the flyers are much better at pestering stuff than killing stuff. So that's why I wanted them out here pestering the Noxbringer, just stopping it from shooting your cannons. That's not going to be the case. Soul Grinder of Tzeentch fires at the Alchemist. Noxbringer is going to shoot at some of the Peasant Archers, just get rid of any of the ammo they have. They're going to walk into Vortex. Huh. I thought the Vortexes did ammo shred too, but it looks like not. Okay. Rot Flies chasing off some flyers that are behind my camera. They're there. Just keeping them zoned out. But Cathay, like, I need to articulate my thoughts about the flyers. You have so many flyers. What are we afraid of? right? I think he's just playing way too far back. You have 2 Long Marauders and 3 Onyx Crowmen versus 2 Rot Flies. That's the entire flying force of the enemy. And the ranged force is a fucking blue horror and 1 exalted pink. You can overwhelm those guys. Sure, you don't want to get into melee like in front of the Bloodletters or whatever, but you need to play to harass a little bit. Just giving the 2 Soul Grinders and the Hellforged Bellowers free reign over the middle of the battlefield to snipe you out and doing nothing to counter it. I'm like, well, then what are the Flyers doing? Are we trying to wait until... I'm having a hard time putting the thought into words. Like, are we just waiting for the Flyers until the enemy is out of ammunition and then you can get into the melee? But the only thing stopping you from diving their backline right now is being afraid of getting into melee. So the melee is the thing that you're worried about. Then why are you saving them specifically for the thing you're worried about? They need to be out there pressuring. As Rance of Visitations takes out the Alchemist, Grand Cathay has no caster at this point. They're down in the balance of power. They're just now capturing the point. And the enemy went back to get more ammunition from the Blazing Squealers. The Flyers are asleep at the wheel. I do not know what the Grand Cathay player thinks is going to happen with the rest of this game. I don't know what he thinks his win condition is. I don't know what he's playing for, and it's starting to really fucking frustrate me. And there was a different game I cast in this tournament where that was very similar. I believe it was Caradoc versus Unclear. I think. I don't want to blasphemy a player if they don't deserve it, so maybe that's not the series I'm thinking of. But there was another, it was a game 4, Grand Cathay, and Grand Cathay like refused to take the point. Grand Cathay refused to change their patterns. Grand Cathay was just getting their ass handed to them, and then in the end they formed up around the Zhengdu War Drum, formed a box, and just sat there and got shot and eventually lost. And I'm like, what was your plan to win this game? Like, what are you doing to push this game forward? How do you see this going? And if you don't see it going anywhere, I don't want to be a dick, but FF. Like, if you're not going to try and win, then why bother making your opponent beat you? And that's what's frustrating, is it's like, what's your vision for how this game is going to go? Now, he's not AFKing. I'm not trying to, you know, say anything negative about the player that isn't deserved or anything. Like, he is advancing and that kind of thing. But like, with 5 flying units that have just been sitting around all game, why were they not peeling for your cannons? Show me what you were saving them for. What did you hope they would accomplish? And now they're going to go in at this point in the game. They're starting to flood over. They're going to try and take 2v1 fights on these Rot Flies. They're going to try and penetrate the back line. They're going to try and stress out the Bloodletters. There's only 2 Bloodletters that can't be everywhere at once. This is good. I like this. Why didn't this happen literally 7 minutes ago when you still had cannons that were alive? When you still had cannons that were firing? Push the enemy back. Push the Noxbringer back. Block some of the shots from him. If you're just hovering around his face, if he throws on guard mode and tries to fire, he's going to hit you instead of the cannons, and you don't have ammunition for him to shred. I wanted to see this a lot earlier. Now, the Lord Magistrate does take a lot of damage. It gets hit with an overcasted Rancid Visitations. Blazing Squealers and Blue Horrors light him up. The Blue Horrors are almost out of ammunition anyway. The Archers are hitting the Blazing Squealers. Cathay is doing decently in the melee, but it took too long to get here, and they're just bled out before the fight began. Locus of Fecundity down to heal everybody up. Rotfly's taking decent damage. The Noxbringer was low, but it was getting a heal, and yeah, that's going to be a win for Akkein. He advances on. Akkein played great. Akkein played great. He had a very difficult to execute build, and he executed it masterfully. Soul Grinder of Tzeentch ended up getting 1,500 value. Noxbringer ended up getting 1,300, but got rid of all the cannon damage. The Hellforged Bellowers got 1,200 value, which was okay. He played a very difficult build. He played it very well. The Grand Cathay build frustrated me. I feel like he needed to pivot. And it's something I mentioned in a new player guide video or something. But when you enter into the game, one of the first things you need to do is assess how you win the game. You need to assess where you're stronger and where they're weaker. And my example would be, you have an Empire build, right? Just bear with me. And this is going to be a bit of a straw man, but I'm getting to a point. You have an Empire build. You have 3 cannons. You have 3 Empire Knights, 5 Spearmen, 3 Swordsmen, and Balthasar Gelt on his Pegasus as your lord. Maybe that doesn't equal a full Empire build, but bear with me. The enemy Vampire Coast build has 3 mortars, 5 cannons, and a pistol lord. Now, when you load into that game, this example is obvious to prove my point. When you load into that game, you were probably thinking you were going to form a defensive formation fan out your front line in an arc around your cannons, push back the enemy shooters, and let your cannons fire. Otherwise, why did you bring cannons? Your cavalry would be there to peel bats and dogs for your cannons. When you see the enemy has 8 artillery pieces and you have 2, you're advancing now. Your plan changes. You are not on the back foot anymore. You cannot sit and wait. Your 2 cannons will lose to their 5 cannons and 3 mortars. But money doesn't come from nowhere. They, in that dumbass example of mine, have literally no front line. Your spearmen and swordsmen need to sprint at the cannons and mortars and take them out. You're going to win that game easily if you pivot. That's how I felt about this game. And again, I'm not trying to be a dick. It just frustrates me because I'm seeing it all over this tournament. You had 2 cannons. You had a bunch of flyers. I understand what you were going for. You're trying to peel for your cannons. The enemy brought 3 mobile artillery pieces that can dodge your cannons, and to defend them, he had 2 piss-ass rotflies, 2 bloodletters, and 2 piss-ass ranged units. You have 5 flyers, 5 melee infantry, and 2 archers. The game plan needed to change. He needed to advance. He needed to be more aggressive, because what ended up happening was 2 800 gold cannons lost a fight with 4,000 gold worth of enemy artillery. And of course it did. Like, I mean, that would kind of be fucking toxic if 2 cannons could beat 4,000 gold worth of enemy artillery. But he just didn't pivot, you know, he didn't adopt to the game that was in front of him. He stuck to his guns. He stuck to the game plan he had entering this game, and it cost him so much. So that's why it's just frustrating me. But again, it's not just, man, Ahzek screwed this up. I'm getting tired of seeing this all over this tournament. People have got to be more flexible. And that's what makes, like, really good players, really great players, are the ones that can adapt on the fly, take the situation as it is, and just pivot and win the game however they need to. And I had a different series I was casting, Snail Cream versus Anticity, and I won't spoil who won that one in case you haven't seen it yet, because it was a great series. I really recommend you go watch it. But there was a game I obsessed over in that, and it was just a beautiful game from both players. I really, really liked it. It was Vampire Coast versus Empire, and Anticity was surprisingly the Empire, but that was a really good game for exactly what I'm talking about. Both players played great to their win conditions. Both players pivoted in a very dynamic game where the plans got fucked up and both players were just rolling with the punches, and I just really liked it. So if you haven't seen that series, go watch it. It was a great series, and I won't even spoil who won that game, much less the whole series. But yeah, that series was really good for the point I'm trying to make here, and I think it's going to be why Akkein's going to have to tighten up some of his decision making if he's going to go further in this tournament. Yeah, see you all next time. Roar. Subscribe, yes.